Neil was watching this video the other day with it was AI, but it was pretty cool. Like, they were retelling biblical stories with AI, and it was dramatizing Satan leading God's charge, and basically the fall, you know. And it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. But she's watching it. She's talking to me about it. Wow, this guy's straight up Zimbabwe. Yeah. He's gonna machete someone. I know. I just know it. So I'm watching it, and she's talking to me about it. You know, about that, the details of it. And I'm talking to her, and it's kind of tough because we're discussing it on the level of people that know King James' great fantasy novel, which is one level of biblical truth, like the story as it was told to us. But then there's a whole other level that I believe is more truer than that, than King James' fantasy novel. So it's like I'm having this conversation, but I'm like trying not to veer off into like the stuff that I think is on the next level. He's talking about his anger toward God, Lucifer's anger to God. I'm like, well, you know, it's that whole father-son dynamic thing. It's just like, well, what? Like, oh yeah, Satan is God. You ever notice when they talk about Jesus, it's like he mentioned him as the begotten son? Yeah, there's a reason for that, because Satan is also his son, or Lucifer. He called him Lucifer. And that's why he doesn't like the name Lucifer. He doesn't like to be called that, because it reminds him of God. So because of that, we used to call him Lucifer all the time, and it freaked him out, and it was just became too much of a hassle here, so we just call him Lou. But yeah, it's this happens with a lot of stuff, not just biblical stuff, but people will be talking about, say, the government, and I have to talk to them about it on a certain level of truth, like depending on what level they're on. And I could do that. It's just all the conversations are like that now. Like, you know, they voted him out of here and they voted him out of there, and I think if he does this in his constituents, like just talking about a politician. Now, meanwhile, the votes don't count. This is all, they've figured out who's going to be in what position already. But I don't dip down into that level. I'm staying in the level of conversation that this person is used to, you know. So I end up doing that with Neil a lot when it comes to Bible stuff, because you know, it's kind of hard to get into some of these things that, I mean, this knowledge I've picked up over the years through various means. Some research, some from those what we call downloads, where what we call that here, and I've heard people use that terminology too, where they get this information. Happens with some people through meditation, which I'm not very good at. So I get a lot of my downloads in the shower. I get a lot when I'm trying to sleep at night, when you're in between that awake and sleep kind of thing. I get a lot there. I also refer to it as found information, because the information isn't coming from an outside source. It's not coming from somewhere else. It's you discovering that information inside you, because all the answers, as well as the questions, are written on your fucking DNA, like a book. That looks cool over there. Yeah, you don't see a lot of that now. Like Hawaii type stuff. Most of the time, if I blocked out the palm trees, taking video of this place around here, you'd never. It could be any city, fucking USA. That's the problem I've been having with that I talk about, is They take out all the sort of infirma that makes the place look like Hawaii, like that area there in the 80s, and I guess even into the 90s, from what Nia says, that kind of decor was everywhere. You know, you had that tiki stuff, carvings, and all that kind of stuff. Wood carvings, what do they call those things? Totems? No. Whatever they call that was more spread out. It was on a lot of stuff. I showed pictures here before of the area I walk around in. Depending on if whoever's paying attention to the making of this editing process, maybe we have some up there now, I don't know. You get the point though. It used to be a lot more Hawaii-ish. And they've stripped a lot of that stuff away. But yeah, it's talking about the fall. You got 3/4 of the angels to go with him, which always fascinated me, because we really don't know what his line to them was. You know, like what he offered them or told them they could get. I mean, there's an awful lot of angels to go with him. I have my theories about the whole thing. Where I think they were all here already. I think the third of the angels is the amount of people that were here on Project's fucking incubator. The third of the angels were the angels that were already down here working here. So he basically got everyone to go along with his thing. I'm sure some resisted, but shouted down, voted out. I don't know what happened. But the idea of the rebellion was to stop taking care of us, teaching us, growing us in a little egg/incubator thing here, and instead turn us into a battery and suck the power off us, the divine energy, which empowered them and made them able to live here as absolute rulers of the place, have all the earthly desires and physical stuff. You know, by draining off our power, they have complete control of this place in various means, like the way they do it. Because at the end of the day, they need us to create the conditions they want. So they need to fill our brains with the kind of shit that is then going to make the reality the way they want it. Because they don't create shit. We're the ones creating the reality. Unbeknownst to us, generally. So they need to bombard us with all the stuff that they do every day, and this programming and these ideas that we have and therefore make the area around us more, I was going to say congruent. Is that the fucking right word? I don't know. You know what I'm saying. Be right back. Yeah, I don't usually have to adjust my conversation for Nia too often. We're basically on the same page about a lot of stuff, but it reaches comical proportions when you're in your neighborhood, and maybe neighbors want to have a little bit more of a talk than, hey, how you doing, or, you know, the normal nodding of the head and smiling and stuff. Sometimes you have to talk to them, and it's not just my neighbors, I mean just like people in general that you're not familiar with, like people, strangers, you know, whatever. And you need to be able to speak with them calmly about common things, you know, without slipping into Schizo territory, which usually happens with me pretty quickly. You know, like it doesn't take too long for it to get there. There's a lot of things like that where you know, like, I'm trying to hold I'm trying to keep the plane up, you know, hands on the controls and trying to keep it from fucking crashing into the mountains, but it's hard to maintain conversations like that because things just kind of jump out at you. Same thing with watching movies and stuff. I watched a movie the other night, a Marvel movie, which I haven't in a long time. I used to love those things back when they were good. But I watched one of those Indian can reps of Thunderbolts, the new Avengers. I enjoyed that thing. It was fun. The thing I liked about it is it wasn't like trying to preach to me too much. You know, they actually let some white males be semi-heroic, which is, you know, always nice. But it's kind of amazing what happened with those movies. Like, they used to bring in so much money. They were so culturally, you know, in the zeitgeist for many, many years. A new movie would come out, and then, you know, you'd be able to go on social media and there'd be memes about it, like, and you would know what they were talking about. You know, it wasn't like, it's like everybody went together and saw these things. It's perfect. Like, the CIA must have loved that stuff, as Hollywood is just the entertainment wing of the CIA. Well, everything's the entertainment wing with the CIA. I mean, everything is performative. Everything's a show, you know, all around you all the time. And I used to be able to find escape in those kind of things. Movies, video games, comic books. I still, you know, try. I still dip into that stuff, but it's not really the escape it once was, because so much of the evil of the world has leaked through into like everywhere now. It's like I try to watch one of these things, and you just see all the symbolism. You know, everything's red flags sticking out at you. They say, all right, that's this is that. I try to turn that part of my brain off, but it's impossible. I mean, what are you going to do? It's everywhere. It's just like, I wonder though, like, how long can it go on like this? How long will we be in this kind of state? You know, how long are we going to be in this stage? I don't know. These days, most of that stuff, I only kind of keep up with it, interact with it through YouTubers just complaining about how it's all crap. There's a problem. I hope things don't get better, because those guys are going to be out of job. I think they'll probably still kind of pivot and lie for a while, because, you know, that super chat money is pretty good. But there were not things to complain about after a while. It's like, do you really care about the My Pretty Pony movie and how woke Hollywood is ruining the sanctity of the pretty ponies? I mean, you're a 40-something-year-old man. I get it. It's a grip, but what an embarrassing fucking situation to find yourself in. One guy I like for reviewers and stuff is this kid right here. God never blessed me with the child, but I'd be very proud to have this young man as my son. It sounds like he would be. Irish guy too. He's you know, his episodes were this even 2 years ago. I don't think he'd be allowed to even be on YouTube. I think they would have yanked him, you know. But things have changed so much. You know, the Orville Redenbacher window has moved to a point where things are more permissible, especially when it comes to the subject of race. Like, they used to be very, very protective of that group of people, certain groups of people. You know, LGBT, Jewish people are always there. As far as being able to discuss them, they're still the final boss. As far as online discourse, I don't fucking worry about it though. I mean, as long as you're not being, you know, you can tell. As long as there's no hate in your heart, you can talk about it. Like, I don't fucking hate anyone, and neither do you. You know, you don't hate anybody either. That's such gaslighting to say that it's something is hate. You just hate this community of people. No, you don't. You don't hate people you don't know. You have to have some kind of relationship with them. You know, I've said this many times, but I think it's important to repeat stuff so it gets in. You might think you love a celebrity or a singer. I always use Tay there as the example. Like, oh, I love this girl. You know, you don't really love them because you don't know them. You know, there's no relationship there. Real love and real hate takes a lot of energy. and it needs to have some kind of basis in reality. There has to be a relationship there to really begin to foster feelings either way about someone. It takes a while. And even though I've had to deal with a lot of shitheads in my time, even people that were really objectively terrible, I don't know, I don't hate anyone. You know, it's like, that would take a level of caring that I don't have. I don't have. They always say to forgive people and forget and move on. And, I push back against that sometimes. Like, well, some people don't want forgiveness, you know. I don't really buy in completely to that Christian idea of forgiving people even if they're not sorry about that. Hey, I don't know. I think that's just kind of another one of those things that were put in the book, in King James fantasy novel, to keep us from being bad guys, you know. So I kind of, I think everything you have to kind of weigh it out, put it up against a spiritual shit test. Inner tuning fork, whatever you want to call it. That's how you have to do everything, and how you should do everything. At least strive to try to do that. That can take years though, because we're under a lot of spellcraft, we're under a lot of programming. You know, it's all about breaking that down, and breaking the spells. That's why I do this. You know, it helps me too to discuss some of this stuff and put it out in the air. It's one thing to have thoughts about something, but if you can verbalize it and use spelling to put the spell out in the ether, so it's turning in front of you, if in your head, if you can do that, like an apple, it's easier to destroy it when you can see it and you can visualize it, rather than try to keep it in the abstract. Or at least that's just the way I feel about it. I think it's working for me. I don't know. But until then, I'll be back tomorrow. Every day there's some new fresh hell to uncover, so I don't think we'll have a lack of things to talk about. Thanks for dropping in. And as always, don't blame the teacher. Blame the school.